Hello, hello! Welcome back to the Lorethrough. Today's episode 8. It's been a little over a week since I last recorded, so hopefully I haven't lost too much in terms of momentum and what we were talking about, as well as my ability to speak into a microphone competently. But I'm glad to see you here, and let's get to it. I'm excited because today we get to do some chatting with some NPCs and staring at them, as well as the environment with a telescope. All good and grand things.
Is anybody there? Someone who might be interested in rescuing the great Kenneth Height,
The great
servant to the
Kenneth
true
Height.
order and celebrated repudiator of the false. Oh, Erdtree, grant me succor.
Alright, so from the get-go, this fellow is
Hello?
pontificating here, yelling
Is
out to
anybody
the
there?
world, praying
Someone
to
who
the
might be
Erdtree
interested
aloud,
in
and
rescuing
hoping
the
for
great
anyone
Kenneth
to
Height,
bail him out of trouble.
servant to the true order
Though the
and
sort of trouble
celebrated
doesn't
repudiator
seem
of the
abundantly
false.
clear
Oh, Erdtree,
just yet.
grant me
Let's
succor.
stare at this fellow. So, first thing worth noting, he has golden eyes, blonde hair,
Hello?
kind of
Is
almond-shaped
anybody
eyes,
there?
actually.
Someone who
He
might be
seems to be
interested
wearing
in rescuing the great
Very
Kenneth Height,
elaborate robes,
servant to the true order and celebrated
definitely done
repudiator
up
of
with
the false.
some sort of embroidery
Oh,
designs.
Erdtree, grant me
Little
succor.
flowery, colorful, very colorful. Rich people clothes. Got to be rich people clothes. Though,
Hello?
it's hard to tell if that's
Is
just the
anybody there?
intentional texture,
Someone who might be
of the
interested in
clothes
rescuing
themselves.
the great Kenneth Height,
or rather if they
servant
might
to
be a
the
bit
true order
dingy
and
from wear.
celebrated repudiator of the false.
It doesn't seem like a
Oh,
solid color, but perhaps
Erdtree,
that's intentional on
grant me
the outer robe
succor.
there. Well, let's chat with him so he'll be quiet for a moment.
Ah, you've come to lend me your aid, have you? Well, that's very kind, but, no. No, the help is very much appreciated, even from a tarnished. Despite appearances, nobility is no prerequisite to serving the true order. You might have heard of me, Kenneth Height. Next in line is the rightful ruler of Limgrave, young Tarnished. I would have a boon of you. I want you to take back my fort. It lies to the south, beyond the Mistwood. A knight commander from Stormvale took it. A fool! And plumb mad to boot. Simply obsessed with blood.
Lot to go over there. I should have pulled up the script. That's on me. But we'll do our best for memory. So, again, another individual who can recognize we are tarnished at a glance. So, as far as I can tell, we're shaped like a person. There's nothing really distinct. Maybe it's the fact we're not mad. I'm curious to know if it pertains to eye color, perhaps. We see that Kenneth Height has gold eyes. We saw that Melina had a gold eye showing. Rena, the witch, the blue lady with 4 arms, she had blue eyes, if I recall. So perhaps not. So it makes me wonder, is it something in the eyes? Is it in our disposition? What makes us a tarnished that people can so readily see? And so this fellow needs help, and his fort has been taken over by a knight of Stormvale, which I don't believe we can see Stormvale from this angle. I believe it is obscured by the cliff. Some of the bridge is there, but not the castle itself. And that the knight commander is obsessed with blood. So let's see
What are you
else he has to
waiting
say.
for? A kiss goodbye? My fort lies to the south, beyond the Mistwood. Take it back for me. Oh, I see. You wish to know the reward. Fret not. The great Kenneth Height is known for his considerable largesse. The celebrations will be lavish indeed upon the dawn of my fort's retrieval.
So he seems fairly sure of himself, as well as his status in the lands between, and he's certain that we should be falling into step and listening to what he says in terms of going and reclaiming his fort.
Yes. Now, allow me to furnish you with a little advice. I would take great care to avoid Godric's tarnished hunts were I in your shoes. That depraved lot are obsessed with sacrificing tarnished like you for the sake of grafting. Honestly, Godric's nothing more than a jumped-up country bumpkin. Lord? Oh, don't make me laugh. First, he hid himself amongst the womenfolk to flee the capital, then hid from Radahn in that castle. Then he insulted Melania, lost to her in battle, only to lick her boots rather than die like a man. Has he no shame, the big girl's blouse? And to think, he's the blood of Godfrey, last of the golden lineage, though you almost wouldn't know it to look at him. Yeah, I almost feel sorry for the chap the more I think of it.
Alright, so a few connections are starting to come together, just barely, just hints at connections. First, we see that Godric the Golden, Godric the Grafted, 2 names for him, that he seems to be a kind of a pitiful lord. That even this Kennethite, who doesn't seem to have much about him other than his personal effects, his robes, his clothes, doesn't think much of him. That he's had to flee from Radahn, a character who we only really know about if we watched the story trailer before the game's release at this point in time. And Melania, who is also a character we learn the name of during that story trailer, and from the set of stone sword monuments over here that Godric the Golden, or Godric the Grafted, fought her, failed miserably, and begged for mercy and forgiveness. He also implies that this Godric fellow hid amongst the womenfolk in a cowardly fashion to escape whatever fate awaited him. So he seems to be reviled on most faces by several folk in the lands between. Let's see if he has anything else to say.
What are you waiting for? My fort lie...
Okay, so that's all he has to say. So we get a few through lines, a few connections between these notable key players, but we're not exactly sure who they are or what they stand for just yet. But we will get to that soon enough. I rather like Kenneth Haidt. I think he provides a lot of context to the political situation in in the Stormvale, and Limgrave areas, as well as the greater world of the lands between. Just hints at it. His questline isn't too particularly long, but he gives us a lot more than we will receive for quite some time. So we're gonna follow the road and eventually make our way south. On the way here we see demi-humans. Monsters that we've seen a handful of in the underground areas and caves above in between. And they seem to have held up this cart, perhaps. Their own equipment seems to be these rickety shields, very poorly put together. They wear just scraps of cloth and ropes. It doesn't seem likely they could throw a wagon together. Some of them are wielding falchions, which would require an advanced knowledge of metallurgy. So where they got those, maybe they stole them. Maybe I'm wrongfully stereotyping. But a lot of the other demi-humans seem to be wielding clubs, spiked or otherwise. Some are wearing these really shiv-like daggers with cloth wraps for grips. Not the most sophisticated equipment for battle, except for those falchions. Those seem like quite nice curved swords for them to have, compared to everything else they own, rather. So we're making our way along the road south, or we're beside the south road, and this red dung beetle's fleeing from me. Alright. There are both Crimson and Cerulean Teardrop Scarabs. Defeat them to replenish the flasks that match their type. However, you cannot replenish more flasks than your maximum amount. Okay. And here we have another troll. Ooh, I thought I was gonna eat it there. Just always stomping. So rude. But it seems that this pickaxe does a good deal of damage, especially when buffed up. is not going. Way too big of a hit. And we were able to kill him without knocking him down. I wasn't fast enough on chaining my attacks together. Still. As a tarnished of no renown, slaying a creature that big has to be worth something. At least whenever I look at the scope of these video games, fantasy novels, slaying something that large would be quite a notable feat. It's just, if you've ever seen like martial arts, MMA, just they have weight classes and categories for a reason when they pit two forces against each other. And sure, we do have some weapons. We have this big ol' pickaxe, but it seems unlikely that we would be able to get one up over on the troll. So definitely a feat indeed. So we come to this church building. Most of it's gone. Just absolutely missing so many key portions. We have a statue of Queen Merica in that very analogous to Christ pose there. And she has an item in front of her. Let's take a look at that. The Sacred Tear, our very first. So let's take a look at it. It's in this menu. Okay. Blessing of the Erd Tree. Worshipped in the churches of all lands, so we are in a church, and we are in a land. This is but a faint vestige. Increases the potency of a sacred flask's restorative effects. Can be used after resting at a site of grace. During the age of the Erd Tree, these tears were used to spread the faith, for theirs was once a certain blessing. So it seems interesting that the sacred tear seems to be a substance, presumably a liquid. It is a blessing of the Erd Tree, though, so it could be sap or something like that. And it's collected in this chalice that we see, laid before the statue of Queen Merica, much like an offering. But it isn't just an object of faith. It seems to have a very real effect in world. It's a very potent thing. In fact, so much so that we are able to replenish or increase the amount our flasks replenish, just effectively buffing our health and mana items. We have another thing to look at here. We have this bowl on the ground. Very intriguing. It is supported by a system of roots, and it seems to have a leaf pattern around the edges as well as an interweaving pattern around the brim there of this stone bowl. And inside we find the Flask of Wondrous Physic. You can find crystal tears at the bases of minor Erd trees and elsewhere throughout the lands between. At sites of grace, you can mix 2 crystal tears in the Flask of Wondrous Physic. This will allow you to create elixirs with various custom effects. And we find the Crimson Crystal Tear and the Flask of Wondrous Physic. I don't believe we found any other crystal tears so far, but we are able to mix our Wondrous Physic. We put that in there, and it's like having an extra flask that will heal half of our health. Put it over here for now, but I'll probably move it once we get more items. Excellent. Okay, so we're at this church, and now it's time to talk to Melina. For those of you who are aware, we get to chat with her at churches, and she'll exposit a little lore for us to look into.
Spoken echoes linger here, words of Queen Merica, who vanished long ago. If you wish, I will share them with you.
It's very good etiquette to ask one's permission before lore dumping. You are consenting by simply watching these videos, and if you are not consenting to watching these videos, I am so very sorry. You must push through, as your captor is a ruthless individual.
Very well. In Merica's own words, my lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between. ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die. Well, perhaps that might serve you in lieu of a maiden's guidance.
So, Queen Marika, God Queen Marika, is referencing someone as her lord, and is essentially asking them to go afar, and that their eyes will be dimmed, right? Eyes seem to be important in the lands between. For one, as we find various sizes of golden runes that we can break for money, they seem to more and more resemble an eye. She has golden eyes, Kenneth Haight has golden eyes, and whoever this lord is, their men, as well as himself, has faded eyes. So that seems to be a very distinguishing trait. So we'll try to keep an eye out for anything relating to eyes and iconography of the like. She doesn't have anything more to say to us here. But we will visit another church in this episode. Our first church, the Church of Ella. I believe she'll have some more dialogue when we get there. We're going to take a look in this general area. This. I believe there is a little event we can explore down here. Interesting, to say the least. What weapon do we want to use? Let's get the S-Dog pickup. Why not? So we see some dead wolves, and we see more wolves from the fall from the sky, and they are fighting the largest bear we've ever seen. Absolutely monstrous. And of course we can sneak back here, grab the item, and be off. Where's the fun in that? We could probably make good on this, with it. Just scratching it. Now that I recall, I believe we may have seen one other bear as well. There's Trina Lewis. While exploring the southern portion of a Heel Lake, it was a man who transformed into a bear and dropped a marketeer. Rather not kill all the wolves, because they are helping do lots of poise damage, as well as regular damage. Actually, this might be what I could do. Many bombs. Hit him with a magic spell. Let's see if you can make that happen. I want to cast a spell. Oh no! So if you ever find yourself in a grab attack, if you mash your shoulder buttons on the tops of your controller, you can often break out of the guard early, or reduce the incoming damage of the grab. Very good. Very, very good. A little close for my tastes, but a very exciting fight. Make sure there's not too much talking and dawdling and staring at things. That is for people who are actually watching the video itself. I'm sure there will be those who are just listening to it in the background for the lore. And given the long-running nature of this series, I don't quite blame them. Coming up here, we have another needle. This one's a different color, sort of gray-brown, and we find an ash of war called Sacred Blade. Okay. Yeah. So let's take a look at Sacred Blade while it's on my mind, before I forget about it. Okay, it's our second. Well, it's not our second ash of war. We have others equipped right now. This Ash of War grants armament the Sacred Affinity, and the following skills. Sacred Blade grants armaments, attacks Holy Essence, and fires off a golden blade projectile. The armament retains its Holy Essence for a while. A very good Ash of War. That's one of the things that I actually really like about Limgrave as an area in game, and that we'll come to discover, is that there are the beginnings of just about any build you would like to have. Just the beginnings, nothing too crazy. But if you require an elemental affinity, you can get it here in some variety. To scale with one of the core stats you will probably use throughout your adventure. Don't mind that. Motorcycle in the distance. Every so often we get terribly loud vehicles on the road in which we live. Here we see a troll just rolling, which is a very unique thing. We have never seen a troll roller. I can't speak. A rolling troll. I haven't seen something quite like that yet. I am getting bumped. I don't say that too much. I need for that to become a regular thing and therefore annoy the audience. My beloved audience. Thought I had that. Must have been the camera angle. Okay. I need to start saying other words. Excellent, superb, and tally-ho. But yet another troll. Payout of money flasks. We're gonna adventure up here a little bit. We're not gonna go too far. I just want to know if a certain someone is available to chat. I think it's gonna be just barely up here. I don't want to go too far here. This is not the place for us. Not just yet. Except for this little green patch over here. I must be confused. Considerable damage to myself. Perhaps I went too high up. Maybe that's our issue here. Or maybe it's higher up than I thought it was. No, it was the other. It was lower. Okay. Probably didn't need to go into the very edge of that zone. I hope that doesn't cause any future problems. That would be miserable. I don't think it will, but we'll find out. Oh, I'd hate to roll back a save after filming all this. We'll find the Gale Tunnel, which is still in Limgrave, but it seems to be protruding in the direction of another zone. And the fellow we are looking for is not here, but we find a level 4 smithing stone, so I suppose we will leave before we are missed. So normally, we'd go ahead and head south and follow the road on the way to Kenneth Heights' place, but first, we need to go to the Church of Ella to get the rest of Melena's dialogue. And we also need to go visit our good pal Patches again. Right, sitting at the grace. Don't know why I went up to Kale. That must have been incredibly awkward for him. He's gonna remember that forever.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Erd Tree. This light once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren.
Okay, so there's the other
But
piece
now,
of connecting information.
it is all that guides you. Also, I hear. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden.
I mean, sure, through our burden, but to be fair, being able to sit at a site of grace and just recuperate and restore our damage to ourselves, as well as our flasks of healing, that's a pretty great boon,
Upon the
mechanically
cliff,
speaking.
in Castle Stormvale, is a shard bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring.
Must be the
If
Lord
the rays
Godfrey,
of grace
or sorry,
signal the
Godric the
castle,
Grafted.
then the Elden Ring beckons you. As an ally by pact, I pray that you are fit to face the challenge presented by the ring.
And given that our agreement with her is to bring her to the base of the Erd Tree, and that seems like an awfully far journey to make, of course you would wish that we would be very well capable in that area. But let's go say hi to Patches real fast. Don't have too much time left in the episode, but we should have just enough. Just enough. Sneak past these goons here. Not the most attentive lads. But hey, Patches probably pays minimum wage, so they're gonna put in minimal effort. That's just kind of how things work. Okay. Hello, Patches.
Hello again. Welcome to Patch's Emporium.
Alright, let's talk.
By the way, friend, you've really been there for me through thick and thin.
We really haven't.
And so, I've made up my mind. I bequeath that chest to you.
This
An
is his
extra
attempt when
special
we don't
thanks
fall for it
for
the
an
second
extra
time. Or
special
rather, the
customer.
first time. Okay.
What's wrong? I've made up my mind. The treasure chest is yours, in word and deed. Sure,
He's
it may
very
be worth
adamant
its
at
weight
this
in
point.
gold, but a Patch's promise, well, that's priceless.
Just, seems a little untrustworthy.
Cheers for that.
But we're gonna fall for it, because we're here to show off as much of the game as we can in a single run. Ensnared in a transporter trap. Hear Patches' voice.
My sincerest gratitude. I thought I'd never wrench that thing open. You're the finest customer a man ever had.
So he makes it sound like there was something he still wanted inside, but he couldn't open it. Seems a bit odd, to say the least. We find ourselves somewhere random in Limgrave, part of the map that we've not yet discovered, and right next to another of those despicably large bears. Put us by a precious item, and over here we see another precious item. We have a map of Limgrave East, so we're just going to take a moment and look at that. I forget which tab maps tend to be in. Here it is. Limgrave East. Alright. Other than the Mistwood, which envelops the south, it is known for its lands. It's known for its lands, which lead to Caelid, a path trod by many a soldier in the past. So we can even see on the map that little bit of road. It looks like it even includes a bit of the land now known as Caelid, right? Seagale Tunnel, that's where we were just a moment ago. We have another of these. Now I want the item, but I don't really want to fight the bear, as the amount of effort you have to put in to kill them versus how much money you get is just not worth it. We're gonna sneak this. Thank you. And we will bolt out of here. Wow. I genuinely thought he was going to attack us. I guess he does not care that much. In that case, we will make 2, maybe 3 more stops, and then we will cut there. So we are at the Minor Erd Tree. It's surrounded by these beetles and tarnished golden sunflowers, which are used in making holy water pots. Very good anytime we should fight the undead. I believe it also takes a mushroom in addition to a tarnished flower. But we see another of these stone bowls, like we saw in the, was that the Third Church of America? Yeah, the Third Church of America. We find the spiked cracked tier and the green spill crystal tier. So now that we have a good collection of those, I believe there is another piece of candy over here. It's ours, and I'm going to take a look at those items. Yeah, we're gonna take a look at those items and then cut the episode. We hear a howling in the Mistwood, and we see a slight spoiler for next episode. Don't pay any mind to that. Well, not yet, anyways. Let's take a look at those crimson or those crystal tears. Alright, so this one is a concoction that restores half of one's maximum HP, a concoction that temporarily raises one's maximum stamina, and one that increases the power of charged attacks for a certain duration. And they are all crystal tiers formed slowly over the ages where the Erd Tree's bounty falls to the ground. So perhaps like the sacred tier we found, but more specialized. It seems interesting that this one's cracked and these two seem to be... Well, that one looks like it's got a crack in it, actually, in the picture. This one looks like it's half empty. Well, about. So who knows? We will learn more about these in time. But it seems like the bounty of the Erd Tree can do very particular things for us. Which is like, well, like a performing of miracles, in a sense. Something to latch one's fledgling faith onto, because you can see the real effects of something, and therefore it might guide your thought patterns, your beliefs, and where you put your trust. Alright, well, thank you for joining us. We will explore these ruins next time. I'm so very thankful to have you, and this experience has been so much fun for me. It's been a great learning experience, learning how to do audio engineering, just the basics of audio engineering, clipping video bits together, and trying to make it cohesive. I thank you, and I hope you have a great day. I probably already said that, and goodbye.